I'm flying to remote Manus Island in Papua New Guinea. Along with Nauru, it's one of the 2 processing centres set up for asylum seekers under the Howard government's Pacific Solution.
On behalf of Air Guinea Captain Milan and the operating crew would like to wish you all a safe and pleasant stay here in Manus, and thank you for flying with Air Guinea.
Deliberately placed far from human rights workers, lawyers and the media, for a long time it was almost impossible for an outsider to visit here.
This is the gate.
Don't beware of that gun pointing at you on the right. The thing that
It's alive.
Right?
Good morning.
Club long SPS.
Okay, I have to direct you down to the commanding officer.
Yes.
And we go down there and you'll see him and talk to him.
Long headquarters.
Yeah, I will come with you.
Okay, come. That's the one that we're going to do our fisheries from.
Since September 2001, asylum seekers have been brought to the Lombrum Naval Base, where they're guarded by the PNG military, at Australia's request. But now there is only one person left here, a 25-year-old Palestinian refugee from Kuwait, Aladdin Sisalem. Hello, Aladdin.
Hi,
Olivia. Nice to meet you too. Aladdin has been here for 15 months. He's been alone for the past 7. I'm his second visitor in that time.
So all that I can do now is remember things. Remember that some people was with me here, and just to forget that I'm living here alone.
Aladdin's solitary confinement has cost the Australian taxpayer about $5 million so far. The detention centre can house around 1,000 asylum seekers. It has a gym, a mess area, a children's playground, and even a makeshift mosque. But most of Aladdin's day is spent in his room, plotting his escape on the computer.
Matt, I will see you later. The internet is the only window I can look out from this detention center. So I may spend all my day inside the room, finding research for information, trying to find the help outside. That's all that I can do here.
When Aladdin first arrived, there were about 150 people here.
They are in Auckland now. Just in Auckland as well, New Zealand.
Of all the asylum seekers brought to Manus, Aladdin was the only one to have actually made it to Australia. But he was also the only one left behind when his friends departed.
This is when the first group from New Zealand was going, and the other group was staying. So
How did you feel when they left? Did you think that you would go soon?
I just felt happy for them. And I just wished that someday I would live like them.
The guards are discouraged from talking to the sole inmate here, so his only company is a stray cat, Honey.
Yep. Hi, Honey. Hi.
Aladdin's prolonged incarceration has had a heavy impact on his state of mind.
That's the medicine, no?
He used to take 5 different pills daily.
This is keeping me going here.
Until the psychiatrist and the doctor left, along with the rest of the asylum seekers.
Yeah, I told them don't stop this medicine, because they're trying to stop it now.
Now a guard gives him just 1 anti-anxiety tablet each afternoon. Even so, he's still plagued by thoughts of suicide.
I don't see the government planning for any end for my situation. Only just to, maybe they want me to end it myself. And I can't. I don't have the courage to do that. And I won't do it. And I need my right to leave. I want to leave. I don't want to be forgotten here and until I make my own decision. I don't want that. I can't do it.
There is no doubt in my mind that Aladdin is really stuck between a hard place and a rock. He's not in a place of his own choosing. He came here because he believed that Australia was a free country, that, signatory to the Convention on Refugees, obligated to give refuge to those people seeking asylum. And unfortunately, he was wrong, because we're a hard-ass country here.
Eric Vardalos is a prominent Melbourne solicitor who's taken on Aladdin's cause. He says that in 27 years of practising law, he's never seen a case like this.
He's a classic refugee. He's a classic person for whom the convention was created back in 1947. Classic. And yet he comes here, he's a stateless, he's a Palestinian, he's got no travel documents, he really can't be anywhere. I mean, he can't go to Mars, and yet they put him on Manus Island.
How Aladdin ended up on Manus Island is an extraordinary story. He was born in Kuwait, but as the son of a Palestinian refugee, he didn't have automatic right to residency. Unable to work legally and harassed by the police, he left 3 years ago after getting a tourist visa to Indonesia. When he arrived in Jakarta, he applied for asylum with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, or UNHCR. But after a year of living on the streets and no progress with his application, he set off for Papua New Guinea.
Where you were? Here. I come with a ship from Java, Indonesia.
Aladdin got a ship to Indonesian West Papua and travelled through dense jungle to the border with PNG.
This is the closer point between Indonesia and PNG, and I arrived at about here.
After trekking for 2 weeks through the rainforest with no food, he arrived in Kiunga, Papua New Guinea. When he requested asylum, he was told to walk back through the jungle to West Papua. Aladdin refused to go. He was jailed for illegal entry and says he was beaten in prison.
I spent 7 months in Port Moresby trying with the immigration department. But
when he was told that PNG doesn't take asylum seekers from terrorist countries, he finally decided to try his luck in Australia.
So I flew from Port Moresby to Daru Island. This one here, Daru Island, PNG Daru Island. You see the border is closed, and this is Saibai Island, Australian Saibai Island. It's not far from the PNG border.
A fisherman took Aladdin to Australia's Saibai Island in the Torres Strait. At this critical moment, he says he approached local immigration officers and asked for asylum. He was then flown to Thursday Island, where officials in Canberra interviewed him by telephone. Aladdin thought his 2-year journey was finally over.
And in the morning they come, the immigration officer, the same ones, they come and took me to the airport. I said, what's happening? Where's we going? I said, we're going to Manus Island. I said, why? I said, it's Australian center, the immigration center. So we'll put you there, process your case.
Aladdin waited here in the detention centre for nearly 2 months to hear about the processing of his case, but no one approached him about it.
I see them coming and talking to the other asylum seekers, told them about their situation, but nobody told me about my case. So I felt confused until they told me, the immigration officer said to me, the same one who interviewed me about my asylum claims, said to me, we don't have asylum application for you. Now I start to understand the situation. I start to find it's getting serious.
As a signatory to the UN Refugee Convention, Australia is obliged to grant asylum to anyone who lands in the migration zone, if they ask for it and are found to be a refugee. Since arriving on Manus, Aladdin has been granted refugee status by the UNHCR. So what about Australia's obligation to him, given that he sought asylum in Australian territory? The government says he didn't ask for the right form.
I didn't went to Australia to ask for a tourist visa. I mean, I didn't risk my life to enter some Australian remote island. Because I am an economy immigrant or something like this. I needed help. I went there and first thing I asked for asylum. I was interviewed. I mean, if Australian Immigration Authority does not consider me as asylum seeker, why they ask me about the harms I suffered in Kuwait and the persecution? Why they ask me about that if they don't want to process my application for asylum?
Minister, can you tell me what someone's required to do once they land within the Australian migration zone to ensure that a visa application for asylum is underway?
Well, look, if someone wants some advice on how to make an asylum claim, they should get it from the Immigration Department.
But if a refugee, say, lands within the migration zone of Australia, what do they need to do?
As I say, if someone wants some advice on the legal requirements for making a claim, they can get that from the Immigration Department.
But is there someone who has...
You've asked me that twice, and I've given you the same answer twice. I know why you've asked me that twice, and I'm going to give you the same answer every time.
Okay.
There's no special way for a person to claim asylum. I mean, logic helps, because this guy landed on Sabay Island, northernmost part of Australia, on his own, and he's a Palestinian, and he sought asylum. I mean, he says, I sought asylum. They say, no, you didn't, because you didn't fill out the form.
When Aladdin did submit a written claim for asylum, he received this letter from the Department of Immigration.
Dear Mr. Sisalem, Australia does not have an obligation to extend protection to a person who is outside Australia. You are currently in Papua New Guinea and have applied for asylum there. Papua New Guinea is a signatory to the UN Convention relating to the status of refugees.
When this hit my desk the first time around, I looked at it and I thought, somebody must have ticked the wrong box for this man to be in the position he is today. I thought it was simple misunderstanding that would be sorted out fairly quickly.
Eric Vidalis will be representing Aladdin in a federal court case next month, attempting to prove that Aladdin is Australia's responsibility.
Well, I think we need to go back a step and work out how Aladdin got there. Aladdin didn't get there because he bought a ticket to Manus Island. He was taken there by the Australian government, specifically taken and dumped there. Now, whose problem is he? So, you know, is the Australian government into the slave trade? Do they pick people up and just take them off to Manus Island and drop them there and say, well, it's someone else's problem?
In fact, this is precisely what the Minister for Immigration and Multicultural Affairs claims.
Well, you've asked me this a couple of times. I've indicated to you, Mr. Sisalem is not the responsibility of the Australian government.
It just doesn't seem very clear that the PNG government says that as far as they're concerned, the detention centre is Australian property. It's virtually Australia. You've got a guy who entered the migration zone here and was flown by Australian authorities to Manus Island Detention Centre, where he's being looked after by people who are paid by the Australian government. How can he not be Australia's responsibility?
Well, as I've indicated to you, he's not the Australian government's responsibility. I understand that's agreed. I'm not privy to the discussion.
With Aladdin's court case pending, Immigration Minister Amanda Vanstone refuses to discuss his case in detail. While Aladdin sits alone, the locals enjoy a Sunday soccer match just outside the fence of the detention centre. As no one can visit him, they know nothing about him.
So now stop come out, talk about Islam.
In fact, Aladdin hasn't left the centre since early February, when he was taken out for a couple of hours escorted by guards. He no longer wants to go outside. He's afraid that Australia is pressuring PNG to give him asylum, and based on prior experiences, he's terrified he'll be killed.
I think Aladdin is very scared at the moment. He really doesn't know what's going on. It's all a bit beyond him, and frankly, I don't blame him. He's been imprisoned by the PNG system, so really he wouldn't have very much faith in the process, and I don't blame him.
Aladdin says the manager of the camp knows he's in danger.
Yeah. He told me, he agreed with me that if I lived being the PNG authorities, my body would be in the jungle. And he said, that's why I don't want you out of here now. But he's still pushing me to get out.
The Papua New Guinean Foreign Minister, Sir Rabi Namalu, wants to close the gates when the lease comes up at the end of this year.
Well, our feeling is that the detention centre has probably served its purpose. There's only one soul left at the centre, and if that is going to be the case, really there's no point in continuing with the centre.
For the time being, Australia is happy to keep the camp open, with Aladdin as its sole occupant, at a cost of $23,000 a day.
There's no any reason to keep me on my own here, okay? What between them and the PNG government, this is their own business, their own work. Myself, I need my right for freedom and safety.
The way things look, he's going to be there forever, in a sort of a Gilligan's Island scenario. We're just going to sit out and wait. So there's a human being involved, and he ought to be processed in accordance with the law, and promptly.
There's someone who for 7 months has been alone and has only had 2 visitors in that time and is slowly going mad from that experience. Do you feel sorry for him as a genuine refugee who's tried for 2 years to get asylum in Indonesia, then Papua New Guinea and then Australia, and has found himself sort of in this detention centre all on his own, not knowing what's going on?
With respect, I might have some different information from that which you have. And no, I cannot say that I have any sorry for Mr. Sisalem's position.
You don't feel sorry for a stateless refugee?
You've just asked me a question, and I've answered it.
Aladdin is allowed only 2 phone calls each month. He's calling his family in Kuwait, where they live as refugees. His father hasn't left the house in 15 years and recently had a stroke brought about by the stress of Aladdin's perilous journey. Do they worry about you?
They just feel helpless. They feel helpless. And they have their own problems to worry about. They have a lot. So actually, I'm not worried. I'm the one who's worried about them.
What do they say to you?
Don't give up.
Don't give up?
Yeah.